Officer Daniel Harper had been on the force for 12 years, long enough to know that most shifts blurred together. The same streets. The same radio chatter. The same routine stops. That night, the air was cool, the kind that settled into your bones after sunset, and the highway stretched ahead like an endless ribbon of asphalt. Daniel wasn't chasing excitement. He was just trying to make it to the end of his shift. Then he saw the car. It drifted slightly over the lane line, corrected itself, then drifted again. Not dramatic. Not reckless. Just enough to catch a trained eye. Daniel sighed softly, flipped on his lights, and followed. The car slowed immediately and pulled over to the shoulder. That alone surprised him. Most drivers hesitated, panicked, or fumbled. This one complied calmly, almost gratefully. As Daniel stepped out of his patrol car, the familiar sound surrounded him, the hum of passing vehicles, the crunch of gravel beneath his boots. He approached carefully, hand resting near his radio, eyes scanning. Inside the car sat a woman, early 30s maybe, hands already on the steering wheel, eyes fixed forward. "Good evening," Daniel said, his voice steady. "I'm Officer Harper. Do you know why I pulled you over?" She shook her head slowly. "No, sir." Her voice was quiet. Too quiet. Daniel explained the lane drifting and asked for her license and registration. She nodded and reached for her purse, but her movements were hesitant, almost trembling. As she handed him the documents, Daniel noticed something most people would have missed. Her hands. They weren't just shaking from nerves. They were trembling from exhaustion. Daniel had seen nervous drivers before. Angry ones. Drunk ones. But this was different. This was the tremor of someone who hadn't slept, who was holding themselves together by sheer will. "What's your name?" he asked gently. "Emily," she replied. He glanced at her license. Emily Carter. Local address. No prior issues. Everything checked out. "You doing okay tonight, Emily?" Daniel asked, lowering his tone. She hesitated. For just a second, it looked like she might say yes and end it there. That's what most people did. But instead, her shoulders sagged. I think so," she said, then quickly added, "I'm sorry. I'm not driving badly on purpose." Daniel nodded. "I understand. Where are you headed?" "Home," she said. "I just got off work." Something about the way she said it, "just got off work," felt heavier than the words themselves. Daniel glanced into the back seat. Empty. No bags. No distractions. But then he noticed it. Tucked beside the passenger seat, barely visible, was a small child's backpack. Pink. Worn. One strap was fraying. He didn't mention it yet. "Emily," he said, "how long have you been awake?" Her eyes flicked up to his for the first time. They were red. Not from crying, at least not recently, but from fatigue so deep it lived beneath the surface. "Almost 2 days," she whispered. Daniel felt something shift inside him. "That's a long time," he said carefully. "Why?" Emily swallowed. "My daughter's in the hospital." There it was. The thing no one else had noticed. Not the lane drifting. Not the paperwork. But the quiet weight she was carrying. Daniel stepped back slightly, giving her space. "Is she okay?" "She will be," Emily said quickly, like she needed to believe it out loud. She needed surgery. They kept her overnight, and I stayed with her. I didn't want to leave." Daniel nodded slowly. He remembered nights like that. Long ago. Before the divorce. Before the job consumed everything. He remembered sitting beside a hospital bed, watching a loved one breathe, afraid that if he looked away, something terrible would happen. You're exhausted, Daniel said. I know, Emily replied. I shouldn't be driving. I needed to get home and shower and go back. She hates waking up alone. Daniel looked at the clock on his dashboard. Still 3 hours left in his shift. 3 hours of routine. He made a decision. Emily, he said, I'm not going to give you a ticket. Her eyes widened. You're not? No, he said. But I'm also not going to let you drive like this. Fear flashed across her face. Please. I can make it. I live just. I believe you, Daniel interrupted gently. But believing you can make it doesn't mean it's safe. He paused, then added, Do you have anyone who can pick you up? Emily shook her head. It's just me. Daniel exhaled slowly. All right. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to call for a courtesy ride. We'll have your car towed home at no cost, and you'll get a ride. Tears welled in her eyes. I can't afford that. You don't have to, Daniel said firmly. Tonight, it's on us. Emily broke down then. Not loud sobs. Just silent tears rolling down her cheeks as weeks of fear, exhaustion, and worry finally found a crack to escape through. Thank you, she whispered. You have no idea what this means. Daniel gave a small nod. Actually, I think I do. The ride home was quiet. Emily sat in the back of the patrol car, staring out the window, her hands finally still. Daniel drove carefully, aware that this was more than just a ride, it was a pause, a breath, a moment of safety in a world that hadn't given her many lately. When they arrived, Emily hesitated before getting out. Officer Harper, she said softly. Yes? I was scared when you pulled me over, she admitted. I thought it was just another thing going wrong. Daniel met her eyes. Sometimes the things we fear turn out to be the things that help us most. She smiled weakly. I'll remember that. Weeks passed. Daniel returned to his routines. The streets. The lights. The radio. But something lingered from that night. A quiet awareness. He found himself looking closer at people. Listening more carefully. Asking one extra question instead of rushing through. Then, one afternoon, his station received a letter. It was addressed simply, Officer Daniel Harper. Inside was a handwritten note. You probably don't remember me. You pulled me over late one night. I was the tired mom with the shaking hands. My daughter, Lily, is home now. She's healing. She asks about the nice police officer who helped her mommy. I just wanted you to know that because of you, I made it back to the hospital safely. Because of you, I got the rest I needed to be there for her. You didn't just stop my car, you stopped my world from falling apart. Thank you for seeing me. Daniel sat with the letter for a long time. In a job filled with reports, citations, and paperwork, this was why he stayed. Years later, Daniel would tell new recruits about that night. Not as a heroic story. Not as a badge of honor. But as a lesson. Anyone can see a broken taillight, he'd say. Anyone can write a ticket. But not everyone takes the time to see the person behind the wheel. And somewhere across town, Emily would tuck her daughter into bed each night, grateful not just for the surgery that saved her child, but for the stranger who noticed what no one else had.